I ordered a few things in the mail a few weeks ago, and so now they've all arrived. Unfortunately, I'm too busy at work to really dive into them, but I still wanted to show off what I got and what it's used for. The first thing to bring attention to is this thing that kind of looks like a Game Boy cart. That's just basically a breakout board that gives me access to all of the pins that are used in the original Game Boy cartridge, the Game Boy Advance, and I believe I'd be able to use those to start dumping the a ROM cartridge. Now, of course, in order to dump the ROM cartridge, I need to have something that's actually manipulating those pins. I want to use a Raspberry Pi Pico, which you can use. But given that there are more control and address pins on the cart than there are in a Pico, I need to use some external hardware like some latches and so on in order to be able to manipulate everything. But rather than do that, I went down a different route. And that's where this envelope that's in front of me now comes into play. So this contains some things that were shipped to me from Sweden. I will put more information with this video on exactly what these things are and where you can get them yourself. So let's get everything out of the envelope first. See, is that everything? Nope. Okay, now that's everything. So let's take a look at what we have here. You'll see there's several bags of these pins. These are so that I can add temporary jumpers to some of the circuit boards that are in here. So they call these all Flexypins. I'm just going to set these aside. This is some paperwork that has the pinouts for the other things I'm about to show you. So I haven't taken these out yet. Where shall we start? Now all of these, I'll go ahead and tell you, are Raspberry Pi Pico implementations. So basically an RP chip of some type that's on a circuit board. Here's a close-up of one of the things that's in the envelope. So this is an RP2340. I'm sorry, 2350. I think the regular Raspberry Pi that most people get are going to be an RP2040, which I also have right here. So you can kind of think as one of these is like a more capable or faster version of the other. That's not the only thing I have. So second one of the same thing. And then I also have this other one. Now this is also an RP2352. You might wonder, well, what's the purpose of having that one? You've already got one. And I will show you. So here we are with the RP2350 stamp XL next to a regular RP2040. And so one of the things that you notice is that I have more pinouts on this one. And the reason I wanted to get one of these is this means that I'm going to be able to interface with that Game Boy breakout cart without having to use a whole lot of other external hardware. Now, something I will point out about this is if you're looking closely, you might notice that there's no USB-C port on here, and that's fine. I actually have a USB-C breakout board that I'm going to be able to use to temporarily wire USB-C for downloading programs and communicating with this. So I have two of the XLs. That leaves this as the last thing that I have yet to open. So let me let you see what's in here. So it came with some headers. You know how those work. I'm going to set those aside. Oh, I guess I'll also point out it came with a barrel jack connector for getting power to this thing. But this is a breakout board. And so this breakout board, I can either use the regular stamp that I have on it, or I could use that stamp XL on it so that I could get easier access to all of those pins. And I see that there's also a connector on here for the UART. And look, there's a debug port on here too. So this is what I'm going to use for, oh, there's also, look, just regular USB micro on here already. Or is this HDMI? DVI-D. Okay, so no, that's a video connector. So video connector, USB-C, USB host connector. There's a debug port, UART. I can't quite read what this last one is. You can probably see this last one on here. Oh wait, turn upside down. Okay, so that's power connector. You can see there's some regulatory circuits. But I'll have the boards connected to this. And of course you have multiple options for connecting this. I could put headers on here so I could plug it in. I don't think I'm going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use the Flexypins that came with this. And of course, the thing you want to know is how in the world do these things connect to there? That's something I want to know too. It looks like there's a QR code on here. So if you want to go to that QR code, there you go. And there's also the link right there. Let's figure this out and see how this works. I figured out how these pins work, and it's good that I have a copious amount of them because I just dropped one of them on this carpet. Oh wait, I actually found it. I was thinking I'd never find it again. So I figured out how these work. Did take a little while, but it's not hard to do. So I'm going to show you this with something already applied. I might not have that Pico installed in the right orientation, but for now it doesn't matter. Right now this is being held in place with some of the pins, but I don't have them soldered in place. But let's take a look at the back so you can see what's going on here. So if you look, what you might be able to see from this angle is that there's 3 holes for each one of the pins. So one of the holes is a little bit oblong. That is where the larger of the pins is going to be going through, and then the shorter one goes in that outer hole. Now, if I were to solder this in place, I would only be soldering that outer pin, and that the inner one that's in the oblong slot, that would be able to move a little bit. Looking at the module itself, you can see how it is pressed up against the edge, the contacts on the edge of the board. If I put enough of those in there, then that's what will keep it in place. I only put a few in here. They're not even soldered in place. So with them not even being on the opposite side, looks like there's a little bit of a torque that's being applied to this. So that's why it's rotated a bit. If I were trying to rotate it into the right or a better position, I think it just ends up sliding right back because of the uneven torque that's being applied. So I will have to decide what I'm going to solder another day. I think what I'll probably end up doing is I'll end up soldering for the version of the board that I have that has more pins, because that lends better to my ultimate goal for getting them. But I think I might go ahead and order another one of these boards so that I can also go ahead and solder for the smaller stamp size ones. But this is what I have. If you want to get one, I'm going to put the links here on the screen. These are not affiliate links, so if you get those from here, I don't earn anything from it. But I thought this is like worth taking a look at because I don't know, I might be able to do a lot with this. Right now, I'm not going to be able to do anything with this because I have a client that has some work that needs to be done on a pretty strict timeline. So that's going to be getting priority. And of course, the stuff that makes the money that feeds me, it gets priority. But hopefully, once I get done with this other client work, I'll be able to dig into this and actually start dumping a Game Boy cart. Maybe I'll do a video by itself on how to install the Flexypins because I did not see that there's a lot out there.